Hi, thanks for tuning into my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Krista, and I'm a part-time vintage reseller on Etsy and Poshmark. Today, I'm going to focus on Etsy, and I thought I'd get on today and talk a little bit about how to get an Etsy's pick badge. I have gotten several over the course of the past year, and I was really curious about, okay, why am I getting these? And what is the common thread for getting the Etsy's pick? So I went and looked at a number of different stores with items that had an Etsy's pick award or badge on their listings. And this is what I found. Etsy actually has a whole page dedicated to how they make their finds for Etsy's picks. And they have two different pages. So each one kind of gives a little bit different sort of almost ranking of how they choose, but all three are the same. So I'm basically going to read this off of Etsy's site. The first one on the one page, they cite quality, reliability, and style. So quality, the item comes from a shop which may be well rated by buyers. Reliability, the shop gives a great customer experience, such as shipping orders on time and resolving customer issues. And then style, the item has elevated photography and presentation. So this sort of goes along with those things that I'm about to recommend to you as to how I think you can get an Etsy's badge. Okay, so on the other page, Etsy gives you 6 tips on how to achieve Etsy pick status. Focus on photography, make your shop easy to find, ensure an excellent customer experience, ship smoothly, avoid policy violations, and strive for a 5-star review. Recently, I started to really get curious about why me? Why am I getting all these Etsy's badges? I mean, my items are fine. Some of them are great. Some of them are average. So I thought, I'm gonna go out and look a little bit at who else is getting this badge and why are they getting it, and what is the common thread there? And this is what I have discovered. First and foremost, photography. When I look at the other Etsy's badges, for the most part, the photography is really good. So I can tell you, I just use my iPhone on my photography, and I do get compliments on my photography. I'm not a photographer. I don't have fancy equipment at all. What I do have, and what you have if you're using your phone as well, is something called Portrait Feature. I started using that a few years ago, and once I started using that feature, I started getting compliments on all of my photos. And you should have it. I would just click on Portrait Feature, and what it does is it brings the item that you are photographing, it sort of makes it very clear and concise, and then the background is a little bit blurry. And it just has a really nice warm effect. Play around with it, see how it works for you. I will advise, I don't use it on jewelry. It just doesn't get clear enough on my jewelry. So I just use the regular photo feature on my phone for jewelry. There are also a lot of editing tools out there. I do use Facetune for some things. I also use Snapseed, and they've got Snapseed is free, and they've got some great filters. So sometimes if I want my item to be really dark and moody, there are some filters in there that I love to use. They don't work on everything I'm selling, but there might be another filter that does work for that particular item. So I do sometimes a little bit of filters. Most of the time, I don't have the time to do the filters, and it's the lighting that works. That's my second piece of advice. Play around with your lighting in your house. For a long time, I took all of my photos in a very bright room. I had lots of big windows around, and I thought, well, this is the best light ever. And then I just took a few pictures. Another part of my house that has some southern exposure. The light was a little bit more filtery, a little more moody, but I would get compliments on those photos. And so I moved my entire photography area to this one spot in my house that gets southern exposure. It's not as bright, but it is soft and yummy. So between Portrait Feature and this sort of soft, yummy light, it's created a nice effect. I do sometimes stage my items, and it may not be the first photo, but it may be a couple other photos. Like here is my Roseville vase. And then here's my Roseville vase with some books or a plant. I use a lot of books and a lot of plants. I'm not that creative in what I do when I stage. Those are my tips on good photography. The second thing that I noticed stores that got Etsy's pick is that they had good reviews and they were in good standing with Etsy, which is actually one of the criteria. Now, what I did notice is you don't have to have all 3 of the Etsy sellers badges, which is, you know, timely shipping, timely messages, and then good reviews. It's great to have all those 3, right? And I do have all those 3, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I will miss a message. And if you miss a message on Etsy, like they take that right away, right? I get enough messages that I can usually build it back up. But a lot of these stores who I noticed got 1 or 2 items with Etsy's pick, they maybe had 1 like good shipping, right? What you don't want to be is just in poor standing with Etsy, whatever that means. The other thing is, I think they really look at your reviews. If you get positive reviews, the one thing I started doing, and I've noticed other sellers are doing this as well, is where they get a positive review and I respond. I've seen other people do this where they respond with just a thank you, or thank you for taking the time to review this item, or, you know, I might add a little bit like, oh, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. You know, this item is really special, just depending on kind of what they say. So then Etsy will see like, oh, this person gives good customer service. They care about their store. That's going to help Etsy notice you. That leads me to my third point. You need to get noticed. You need to get found. So, and I know there's all this discussions about SEO, blah, blah, blah. I don't really get all of it. I have read a lot and I have seen what other people are doing and I have read what Etsy suggests. So here are my 3 things, and these are nothing new. Other people have given this advice as well. Make sure your title is strong, right? The first 3 words need to say exactly what your item is. You know, silver charm bracelet. And then you use the rest of the words that then help to sort of describe that item and add anything, you know, any other important attributes to that item. Then your first sentence also needs to be strong. It shouldn't just be a repeat of your title, but it needs to be a strong, full sentence that includes keywords that are very findable. And then obviously, lastly, your keywords at the end, you get 13 of them. Don't just use 1 word for each of those keywords. You want to have at least 2 words in each of those keyword spaces. So instead of saying retro or vintage, you want to say vintage bracelet. Or if you can fit it in, you know, cute vintage bracelet. I use the word cute a lot, especially in my jewelry, because that's what I type in when I'm looking for things. I use a lot of mid-century modern. I can get those 3 words in. I can use studio pottery or signed pottery or Pacific Northwest pottery. And sometimes it's too long and you can't fit all of them in, but make sure you don't just use 1 word, and that'll help you quite a bit. So all of this, as well as other information on how to achieve Etsy's pick, is actually on the Etsy website, and I will put that link below. So anyway, hopefully this helps. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed my video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. If you feel so inclined, I would love it if you would subscribe. And if you have any comments, go ahead and put them below. Thanks.